If you have ever wondered why you keep getting in your own way, why just when things start going well, something inside you pulls the brakes, why you promise yourself this will be the time you change, and then somehow end up right back where you started, this video is for you. Because the truth is, most people are not failing because they are lazy, broken, or incapable. They are failing because their mind is running a program they did not choose. And until you understand that program, you will keep fighting battles you cannot see, and losing wars you did not even know you were in. We are going to talk about how your identity, your childhood wiring, your hidden beliefs, and your nervous system all quietly collaborate to keep you exactly where you are, even when you consciously want something more. This is not a beginner's guide. This is the ultimate guide to understanding why you self-sabotage, how it really works, and most importantly, how to dismantle it without fighting yourself. Self-sabotage is not random, it is not accidental, and it is definitely not stupid. In fact, it is one of the most intelligent things your mind knows how to do. The problem is, it learned to protect you in a world that no longer exists. At its core, self-sabotage is the act of undermining your own goals, growth, or well-being, often without realizing you are doing it. It shows up in the obvious places like procrastination, quitting, and avoidance, but it also shows up in subtler ways. It shows up when you choose the wrong partner. It shows up when you stay quiet instead of speaking up. It shows up when you almost succeed and then create chaos. And what makes it so confusing is that on the surface, it looks irrational. But underneath, it is completely logical. Your brain is not designed to make you successful. It is designed to keep you safe. And safety, in the language of the subconscious, does not mean happiness, growth, or fulfillment. Safety means familiar. Safety means predictable. Safety means known. So if you grew up in chaos, your nervous system will interpret chaos as normal. If you grew up unseen, your identity will be shaped around being invisible. If you grew up struggling, your subconscious may equate struggle with belonging. And when you later try to build a peaceful, successful, abundant life, your system may resist it, not because it is bad for you, but because it is unfamiliar. This is where self-sabotage begins. Not as an act of destruction, but as an act of protection. One of the most powerful ideas to understand is that many people carry what can be called a dysfunctional hypothesis. This is an unconscious belief about who they are and how the world works. It might be, I am a failure. It might be, I am not enough. It might be, people always leave. It might be, success is dangerous. It might be, love never lasts. And once this belief is formed, the mind will do something remarkable. It will start arranging your life to prove it true. This is where sabotage becomes a pattern. You do not just fail randomly. You fail in consistent ways. You pick similar partners. You repeat similar conflicts. You abandon similar goals. And after each cycle, there is a strange sense of familiarity, even relief, because deep down, the system says, see, I was right. This is how it always is. This is who you are. And as painful as that is, there is comfort in certainty. For many people, this becomes the only area of their life they feel in control of. If I already believe I am going to fail, then failing is predictable. If I already believe people will leave, then pushing them away first gives me power. If I already believe I am not worthy, then rejecting opportunities before they can reject me feels safer. This is not weakness. This is strategy. A strategy built in childhood to survive emotionally. And that brings us to one of the most uncomfortable truths. The majority of your core beliefs about yourself were formed before the age of 7. Before logic, before reasoning, before choice. You absorbed them from tone, reactions, absence, pressure, praise, criticism, and emotional atmosphere. You adapted to them. So when an adult says, I do not know why I keep doing this, the real answer is often, because a much younger version of you learned that this is how you stay safe. This is why simply telling yourself to stop doesn't work. You are not dealing with a bad habit. You are dealing with an identity. Let's take money as an example, because financial self-sabotage is one of the most revealing forms. Some people cannot seem to earn more than a certain amount. They hit an invisible ceiling. Promotions fall apart. Opportunities are ignored. Confidence disappears. And when you look deeper, you sometimes find a loyalty conflict. If a parent struggled financially, the subconscious may equate earning more with betrayal. Or if someone grew up hearing that rich people are greedy, corrupt, or cruel, the subconscious will avoid wealth to avoid becoming someone it despises. So money comes in and goes out. Raises are not asked for. Potential is not claimed. And the person says, I do not know why this keeps happening, but the system does. Your subconscious will never let you become something it believes is unsafe, wrong, or shameful. Even if consciously you say you want it. This is also why hatred, resentment, and judgment are so dangerous. When you judge a type of person, you block yourself from becoming them. If you hate confident people, you will avoid confidence. If you resent successful people, you will repel success. If you judge people in healthy relationships, you will unconsciously sabotage intimacy. Not because you are bad, but because your system equates similarity with danger. The mind does not hear logic. It hears threat. Another place self-sabotage thrives is in negative mood states and rigid thinking. You start using absolute language. Always, never, everyone, no one, nothing ever works. I will never change. This is not just pessimism, this is a protective stance. If I expect nothing, I cannot be disappointed. If I believe change is impossible, I do not have to risk trying. If I decide I will always be alone, I do not have to face rejection. So the system locks you into stuckness. You want something different, but every choice you make keeps you in the same place. And when something finally moves you closer, when a relationship deepens, when an opportunity appears, when progress begins, you feel uncomfortable, anxious, exposed. And then, almost automatically, you change course. You pick a fight. You miss the deadline. You lose interest. You disappear. And later you look back and say, why did I do that? But in the moment, it felt like relief. Because you were returning to the familiar. This is why change feels threatening. Not because it is wrong, but because it is unknown. And the unknown, to the subconscious, is danger. One of the hardest things about limiting beliefs is that they do not feel like beliefs. They feel like facts. If you believe you are not enough, you do not think, I believe I am not enough. You think, I am not enough. It becomes your identity, and trying to challenge it feels like trying to argue that the sky is green. It feels absurd. This is why people cannot simply reason their way out of self-sabotage. You cannot talk logic to a belief that was formed emotionally. You cannot use adult thinking to undo a child's survival strategy. This is also why outside perspective matters. When you are inside your own patterns, you cannot see them. You are living them. You are the rug. You cannot see the design. This is where therapeutic processes become powerful, not because they give advice, but because they give perspective. They help you map the connections between belief, thought, emotion, and behavior. They show you that what you thought was random is actually patterned. That what you thought was personality is actually programming. When you start tracing these patterns, something interesting happens. You realize that a small behavior is often connected to a much larger belief. Something like avoiding social situations might not be about introversion. It might be about a belief that you are unwanted. Something like underdressing, overworking, staying busy, or never resting might not be about productivity. It might be about avoiding intimacy. Something like constantly using apps, staying home, or isolating might not be convenience. It might be fear of being seen. Self-sabotage is rarely about the thing itself. It is about what the thing protects you from. And when you understand that, the work changes. You stop asking, why am I like this? and you start asking, what is this protecting me from? That is a very different question. Now let's go deeper into how these patterns form. Many behaviors that we judge as bad habits actually began as coping mechanisms. Nail biting, overeating, withdrawing, people-pleasing, overachieving, perfectionism, dissociation. These are not random. They are attempts by a younger nervous system to manage overwhelm, fear, shame, or pain. The body learned that this action reduces discomfort, so it stored it, and then it kept using it. The problem is, what helped you survive at 6 may sabotage you at 36. Your body does not update its software automatically. It needs intervention. This is where memory and emotion come in. The subconscious does not forget. It stores everything. Not always as clear pictures, but as sensations, reactions, and triggers. So you might not remember the first time you felt humiliated, abandoned, or unsafe. And when something in the present even vaguely resembles that emotional state, the body reacts as if it is happening again. This is why you sometimes feel too much. Why your reaction seems bigger than the situation. Why you get flooded. Why you shut down. Why you panic. You are not overreacting. You are remembering. And this is also why healing does not mean reliving trauma. It means changing how your system relates to it. It means giving the nervous system a new experience of safety. It means updating the meaning, not erasing the memory. When people fear therapy or deep inner work, it is often because they believe they will be forced to relive their worst moments. But real healing is not about re-traumatizing. It is about recontextualizing. It is about giving the younger part of you what it did not receive. Safety, validation, choice, power. There is no schedule for this, no timeline, no pressure. Trauma heals at the pace of trust, and trust cannot be rushed. Some people go straight into their story. Others circle it for months. Some can speak, others write, others need distance. All of it is valid. There is no correct way to heal. There is only your way. And this brings us to an important truth. You do not have to remember everything to heal. You do not have to have perfect recall. You do not have to explain it logically. Your body knows, and when it feels safe enough, it will release what it no longer needs to carry. Now let's talk about reframing, because this is one of the most misunderstood and most powerful tools in transformation. Reframing does not mean pretending something did not happen. It does not mean denying pain. It does not mean sugarcoating trauma. It means changing the meaning your system assigned to it. When something painful happens, especially in childhood, the child makes a conclusion. It might be it is my fault. It might be I am bad. It might be I am invisible. It might be people cannot be trusted. That conclusion becomes the lens through which life is viewed. Reframing is the process of revisiting that moment and offering a new interpretation, one that is compassionate, one that is empowering, one that is accurate. You cannot change the past, but you can change the story your nervous system tells about it. And when you change the story, the behavior changes. This is why people sometimes stop a lifelong habit after a deep emotional shift, not because they tried harder, but because the need disappeared. The system no longer needs that protection. This is also why combining modalities is so effective. Talking helps the mind understand. Somatic work helps the body release. Hypnotherapy helps access memory. EMDR helps reprocess. Each tool reaches a different layer. And when layers align, change becomes sustainable. The goal is not to become a new person. The goal is to stop abandoning the real one. So how do you begin dismantling self-sabotage without fighting yourself? First, you get curious instead of critical. Every time you avoid, quit, procrastinate, or derail, instead of asking what is wrong with me, you ask, what is this protecting me from? Second, you look for patterns, not events. 1 time is chance. 3 times is programming. Third, You pay attention to discomfort around success, not just fear of failure. If good things make you uneasy, there is a belief there. Fourth, you respect your timeline. Healing is not linear. It is layered. And finally, you stop trying to kill the part of you that sabotages and start listening to it. Because that part is not your enemy. It is a scared protector. And protectors do not stand down until they feel safe. When you create safety, sabotage becomes unnecessary. This is the shift, from war to understanding, from control to compassion, from force to integration. You are not broken. You are patterned, and patterns can be changed. Not overnight, not magically, but permanently. And when that happens, you do not have to push yourself to succeed. You do not have to force discipline. You do not have to fight motivation. Because when the internal conflict is resolved, movement becomes natural. You stop self-sabotaging not because you learned a trick, but because you no longer need to. And that is real freedom. If you stayed until here, understand something. The fact that this resonated means you are already aware. And awareness is the beginning of every transformation. Not willpower, not pressure, awareness. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not failing. You are learning. And once you truly understand why you have been standing in your own way, you will realize something powerful. You were never trying to destroy your life. You were trying to survive it. And now, you get to choose something better.